Morning guys, Buckskin Dave here. I'm a little chilly out this morning, so getting the fire going in the shop. I caught a few mice. This time of the year I usually set mouse traps everywhere. Of course it's springtime, I don't need them, but usually this time of the year I just cremate them and get rid of them. Okay. During the trapping season and leading up to the trapping season, I will start saving these in Ziploc bags. Put maybe 2 or 3 in a sandwich bag, separate them so they don't freeze together, and put them in the freezer. Kind of like you get your chicken wings, you know, they're frozen, but they're not frozen in a clump. And then they make great dirt hole bait. So you just chop them in, they're frozen, chop them in half with an axe and stuff one down in a dirt hole. There you are. Anyway, that's one use for them. I pretty much just want them out of the shop. I went on a sojourn and I picked up some of this wood. Basically it's just firewood. But it's really interesting, this wood, when you see it stacked up, it just looks like railroad ties. And some of them have cuts on them like a railroad tie would have, you know, for the plates that held the rails down and stuff. And some of them don't. And they're so old. This one, they had like regular construction nails, 8 penny, 16 penny. And this one doesn't, but some of the other pieces, this wood is so old that there was nails in it that had just turned to powder. So, I mean, I didn't even have to worry about cutting any nails. The stuff was so old. Some of them might have been railroad ties. None of it is treated. I mean, it just has the, well, you can see, there's an outside edge and there's no treatment in there. I don't know if it's so old they just didn't treat wood back then. These came from some buildings that were being torn down on a ranch, and I don't know, it's almost no good for anything but firewood. Okay, I keep my mouse trapping pretty simple. I buy boxes of mouse traps, excuse me, I buy boxes of mouse traps in boxes of 50, and I use them over. And then this is just a peanut butter pack out of a MRE. And that really is nice because it just, you put a little dab of bait on it. Stick it in there. Mice love peanut butter. And this stuff's really, anyway, if there's anything but anyway, considering one of these having a hair trigger, this one does, which is good because these mice can come up if your triggers, even if it's really a light trigger, they'll lick all that off of there without setting it off. That's one of the reasons I like this bigger pan, because they kind of go. Okay, so some of the projects that I'm starting on. So I've got this action that was given to me. It's a well, what it's marked is the J.C. Higgins, which was a Sears and Roebuck gun. Anyway, it's complete except for the barrel, the fore end, and the stock. And parts are still running around for this. This is actually also interchangeable with a Stevens or Savage Model 94 C Series. This is that short gammer. I ordered the fore end. Well, I ordered a piece of wood, and that'll have to be inlet so it fits there. This one's not going to have a ramrod or a wiping stick. It's just he's gonna send me a block of wood basically. piece of walnut, and I'm going to shape it the way I want. And this one's going to be a 45-92, but as you can see, it'll be a short rifle. So I'm going to start working on that. As soon as that part gets here, I still have to take this barrel off and shape it and put the block in, and then once the block's in, I can finish head spacing it. And then while the barrel's not on the gun, I need to crown it. So, and then we're going to put sights on it. It's going to be a shorter rifle. It'll be kind of a cool rifle. And I loaded up. One of the things I was talking about shooting a gimmer here, and I keep 10 pieces of brass. When I go through the summer and I just want to practice, instead of shooting 10 shots and then a couple of weeks shoot 10 shots, another week shoot 10 shots, and then all of a sudden come before hunting season I got to load 100 of them. I keep 10 pieces of brass just laying around, and when I feel like shooting, I shoot 5 or 10 shots, and then when them brass are done, it only takes me about 40 minutes to reload all 10 of those, and I'm raring to go again for another target session. I usually won't shoot more than 10 at a time, and most of the time I'll shoot 5 or 6 shots, and you know, just to practice with, and then that's it. So I loaded my 10 there, and it's looking to be a nice day, so I think I'll go out and throw a few rounds around with the old gimmer. Hey, why don't you hang in and come on out and shoot with me? Let's go. So I think I'll work on some offhand shots today. You know, every once in a while I like to shoot 4 or 5 offhand shots. Take my time and see how I do. Shooting at an animal, I would most likely rather have a rest, but the better I can keep a rifle steady offhand, the better I can do with a rest. So let's go over here and take a few shots. Come on. What do you want? All right. All right, let's give this thing a whirl out there at 100. And I almost don't remember what my hold is. We'll have to see. Oh, I think I know what my hold is. Nice. This one's shooting just a little high at 100. Let me get the binoculars so we see what we're doing. I'm thinking it went good. A little high, but I mean, I accounted for that, and there's getting to be a lot of dings on that green. My centerpiece is green this time because I didn't have any more orange paint, and starting to get a lot of hits in there. So, but there's none outside of the green, so it was in that green. All right, let's try one more. Okay. Nice. Different. This will be pointed at a bear next. That'll be my next hunting trip with it. So most likely the range will be short, and it'll be good. It'll probably be, I'm sure it'll be under 100 yards. I got to get a bait out, but once I get that bait out and get set up, it'll be just about 100 yards. So cool. Well, I'm going to shoot a few more. Get you some more coffee, and let's try something a little harder. Take a shot at it with my 100 yard, my sight set where I usually have it for 100 yards, and I'm going to hold just to the top of it and see where it goes. Teaspoon, get over here. Come here. Come on. There we go. Hopefully I'll be able to see where it hits through the smoke. Wow. Okay, I don't know. I got the camera pointed that way. But it hit pretty much right in front of that rock. I wouldn't think I have to maybe only give it one click on the scope and see what happens. Let's give it a try. Huh. So I loaded up some of these. I may have hit it. 520 grain bullets. I want to shoot them at some longer distances and just see how the gun performs. I've got, I'm going to shoot the same rock we've been shooting at. These are gonna, I can't remember what we said. These are going about 1,400 feet a second, I think is what we cronied them at. One thing you have to be careful with, okay, when you're loading this bullet, you see how long it is. See how much longer it is than the 420. Well, my rifle's chambered, so when I stick this in, this is actually starting into the rifling a little bit. And what I've noticed is if you try to put more powder in there than will compress, what will happen is it'll swell this bullet a little bit this way, widthwise. And it might not go into the chamber, because what I do when I see it come out, it's actually got lines on it where it's touching the rifling. So when you are compressing your loads, make sure you're wary of that and try them all in the rifle before you go on a hunting trip. Okay, so black powder, when you start going extra range, you want that bigger bullet. It'll actually shoot probably a little flatter eventually, because it keeps up its velocity longer than the lighter bullets. That rock we were shooting at with the 420s is 273 yards, so it's a little further than I thought. And we're shooting with the other bullets. What I want to do with these 520 grains, I want to see where on here my my drop is on this site. In other words, I want to know the extended range of this site. Is if it's 200 or 300 yards when I put it all the way up, then that's all I need to know right now today. I'll start getting to zeroing it in more, and I want to see how flat they travel and right and left. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to try a couple of these 520 grains at that 373 rock. It's always good with these rifles, even though your ranges are 200 or 300 yards at the max. It's always good to have some sort of accurate range finding system. It could be a little pocket one. These just happen, these binoculars just happen to have it in. These are actually pretty nice. These are fusions by, what's nice is you can have them with your, you know, when you're looking to spot something, you can also be getting the range. The problem is with these is they have such an arch at longer ranges that 25 to 50 yards at 250 to 300 yards inaccuracy in your range estimation could be a miss. So you really need to know the range pretty precisely for these rifles. Anyway, let's give her a whirl and let's see where they end up. It's really a good shooter. Going to be a good hunting rifle. Hopefully we can do a little bear hunting with it this year. All right. 273 yards. We've got to adjust our sight to the top. Okay, and my sight will be adjusted all the way to the top, and I'm aiming at the bottom of the rock. Wow, it hit the rock. And I mean, it hit it hard. As soon as the smoke kind of got out of my way, there was a big where it hit that rock. So the top of the sight, and it's actually a little high, so probably at 300 yards, which would be another 20 some yards, 19 yards or whatever. No, 27 yards. Should be pretty close too. So anyway, I'm going to shoot a couple more. All right, do it right the second time. Yeah, it smacked it again. It doesn't make a real big thumping sound, but the ground around it's wet, and when this smoke clears from the rifle, I mean, there's a big cloud of dust where it's hitting that rock, and the face of that rock is, I mean, it's a good two-hander if you could even lift it. And so, you know, what, elk, deer, just about right. So anyway, I'm going to shoot a few more rounds, then I'm going to load this up. I got to start getting my bear bait out today. That's probably where I'm going to go next. Thanks for joining me for a cup of coffee. I hope you had some fun. This rifle is going to turn into a really good hunting rifle, and it looks like 300 yards is going to be my max with my sights. With that sight on there, now what I'm going to do is start figuring out 250, 200, maybe 25, you know, and write down and see where it's at. I would say 100 to 150 is going to be pretty much a right on hold with the sight all the way down. So I got a couple of ranges in there that I got to work with. Anyway, I'm Buckskin Dave. Have a great day. Glad you could join me. Bye-bye.